In case you do not want your face shown, you can switch off your camera. So yeah. Also, unless you're asking questions, we would request everyone to stay on mute. Okay. Awesome. Oh, Kaustav. Hey, good to see you. Okay. Alpesh, you starting the recording? Have you started? Great. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10th OTC Talk session. We have Nathaniel here who will be giving a talk. But before I get into all of that, I have some really good news. The OTC team is proud to announce that today marks 6 years of OTC. It's been 6 years since we started in the community. And yeah, it's been a long journey. So I just want to spend like 30 seconds just telling you about it. So we host OTC catch-ups every Saturday. It's been 200 and today is the 272nd consecutive Saturday that we're doing this. So it's been over 5 years of doing this every Saturday. And then we have OTC talks for which you've come in. This is the 10th session that we're doing, and we do this every month. That's the plan. And and then we also do in-person sessions called OTC Meetup. We've done 5 of those currently only in Mumbai, but they're nice. We have about 50 to 70 people who come in, and we have tech talks and things like that. So yeah, OTC catch up, OTC talks, OTC meetup. That is the stuff that we do. Where catch up is every weekend, talks is once a month, and meetup is whenever we feel like it. And then in between, we also collaborate with different communities for different events. For example, we had a technical writing meetup with Writers Room Bangalore. Then we collaborated with GDG MAD for DevFest Mumbai, alongside a lot of communities, and so we do a bunch of collaborations that way as well. We are definitely leaning more towards OTC talks now. So in case you have any friend who wants to give a talk on anything related to tech, please let us know. We would love to have them speak at OTC talks. Without further ado, I posted a link in the chat, by the way, for 6 years. So you can go and see exactly what we've done in the last 6 years. So that'd be nice, and what we want to do in the coming years as well. 4 minutes. But okay, without further ado, let's start with OTC Talks number 10. Nathaniel. We have Nathaniel who'll be talking about Backdoor into EC2. Nathaniel is a cybersecurity engineer at Rudra, and he has cleared his CSSIP exam as well. I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but so that exam is pretty difficult to clear, and I saw you have a interview with John Hammond as well about that, so that was nice. And then we have him. He figured out some backdoor into EC2 as well, which he'll be explaining to us. And Nathaniel, can you please give us some more details about what you do and more about you? And then over to you. Thank you.
Cool. So I primarily work in Rudra as a security engineer, but my role is a combination of the offense, defense. I do a bit of audit as well, and also in terms of dealing with clients and all. Now, what I'm going to show is a backdooring technique. It's not something new. It is just leveraging the SSH binary or how the flags in which it works in a way it was not supposed to. It's all features that already exist out there, and it's specifically geared towards security, this particular talk. Okay. But you will get an idea from a development perspective how there's a little gap between development versus security, and that gap is what helped me really, get this particular issue. So that is the main motivation behind it. So I'll just start off with a little bit about myself. So yeah, I primarily work at Rudra. I right now I do a lot of research, and I'm a lot into the cloud side, specifically AWS as of now. I'm going to be launching a book soon, as a matter of fact, in exactly 2 weeks from now. And I'm also the author behind ArcNet, which it's an AI-based newsletter which a problem. It was trying to solve a problem for me, which was every day I would have like 5 to 10 different articles coming to me on all the different things which are happening in cybersecurity. So I wanted like one summary per day. Just let me know what's happening in the world, and I'll go and check it out. So if you guys want to, you want something similar, I'm going to have it at the end of the session. You can just sign up. And yeah, I'm one of the moderators at Breach Force as well. It's a cybersecurity community. If you guys into cybersecurity, you should really come for some of our talks as well. Hang out with all of us. So yeah, so let's start off with why all of this matters. So as of now, AWS has roughly 10 million active EC2 instances out there, and this affects a lot of infra. In fact, 90%, again, I don't quote me on these numbers, but 90 to 95% of all the, or 99% also of all the EC2s that are out there have this particular issue, and it's not restricted to any OS. At least I've done it with AWS, with the Amazon Linux, but it can be done with the Red Hat. It can be done with Ubuntu. You might have to do little changes, but the fundamental concept still remains the same. In fact, I was even trying it with the Mac instances. I couldn't get my no. I could not yet try the Mac instances, but I know it can be done because I was talking to the AWS teams on this part as well. I don't believe it can be done on Windows. That's the only caveat out here. So right now, this is specifically to Linux, but it's still a major chunk of all the EC2s. So a few things to note before we go into this talk. There are few aspects of products of AWS, which as a security as well as a developer and a manager in terms of a cloud admin, you should know. So there's something called CloudTrail, which is basically the logging for AWS. What you would have your errors, you would have your, debug logs. Think of it as something like that, but for AWS. You make any API calls, it gets logged out there. Then you have your EC2s. Your EC2s are primarily your VMs on AWS. So it's just called EC2s, Elastic Compute Units. And you have Guard Duty. Guard Duty, think of it as a hawk of AWS. It can see your DNS traffic, it can see your network traffic, it can also see your CloudTrail logs. And the way I would call it, just for the guys who are new to this segment, think of it like an antivirus, but for the cloud. Cool. So let's start off with. Now, how do you guys normally SSH into EC2s or any VMs for that matter? You would normally put your private key or your public key into your SSH authorized key files, right? Now, let's not go into the username and password. Let's just stick to keys right now. Now, it all starts off with AWS as to they had something called EC2 Connect. Now, EC2 Connect is a feature of AWS that allows you to connect into an EC2 instance or most of your Linux instances without having SSH keys. And this is done through the web admin portal. I think I have put the screenshots out here. Also, please note, I'll try to do the demo. I've set up a demo lab to work supposedly. The last time I tried this same session, it worked horribly. And then after I went to my seat, it started to work again. And then again, when I was trying to show it, did not work. So this is like the demo God is with me, not me. So I've put screenshots. I'll try to do the demo. And if it works, cool. Otherwise, we stick to screenshots. Okay, so AWS EC2, I've just spun up an EC2 instance out here. And okay, I think I can show it live because I have this on. Give me a second, sorry. I was just doing this entire demo once again before I. Okay, so I have my EC2 instance out here. It's just a normal vanilla AWS EC2 instance. And yeah, this is like your normal, these are not all features of AWS. You can log in with any user right now, EC2 user, and with your public IP, or you can even go via private IP. Okay, and here I am logged in. It should take at a max 5 seconds for the initial connection. Yes. And yeah, so I can even become a studio SEO root. Okay. ID. Cool. Now that we have that in place, let's go back to the EC2s. So EC2 Connect is basically a feature which allows me to log into EC2s with my public or private IP, depending on how you've configured it, and includes your security groups. I have explicitly allowed it in this particular case. and I can log in as a EC2. It's primary EC2 user, but it changes. In Ubuntu, it'll be I think Ubuntu itself, yeah. And I can also switch to root. Now that went made me question, okay, how has the system been designed? How does AWS operate? How does it have the ability to log in, and that also SSH very specifically out here? So anyone who's played with a VM, especially at a hypervisor level, you can SSH. That is what people normally do. But otherwise, you would go via console, which AWS also has, and I can show you. It's not this one, this one. So AWS also has, you can connect via something called a EC2 serial console. I have not enabled it, but it is possible. I think, yeah, I think you have to allow it specifically for the Nitro instances, all of that. Okay, I won't go into that one. But over here, I was not going in via the serial console. I was going in via the EC2 Connect, which is specifically SSH. And that got me thinking, okay, exactly how is this function working? So I went into the SSH, I SSH into the EC2, just seeing what is the SSH configuration style. And then we have something of AWS out there. That is your bin or OPT bin EIC run authorized key files. Now, when I go to that file, it's basically time every 5 seconds it's going and calling the curl authorized key file, which is why initially during like just at the start of the session I said it might take at a max of 5 seconds to load because of this 5 second timeout that I was waiting for. Now, there's also a caching mechanism out there, which basically, if it's already on the server, and we'll see a little ahead on that, then it'll just happen very fast. Like right now, I just opened a console to my server. It's already there. So it's already there somewhere on the server. We'll go into how that operates. So what's happening is the run authorized key file is going and calling the curl authorized key file. And this is the real brain. When I say real brain, I'm going to go into how it's exactly working as well. So yeah, I just went and generated a key out here and I just tried to show that I'm not able to log in. As a matter of fact, I have this console out here. I believe right now if I do it, it should not work. I reverted the instance back. Okay, wait. Yeah, as I said, live override. So let's just cp og to this. Yes, my screen is visible, right? Yes, okay. And it should not work right now. Perfect. So what I did, I just generated keys out here, okay, and a public private key. And if you log in into the instance, and this is my instance out here, if I have to do a slash root slash .ssh auth key files, there's nothing out here. This is my work laptop, and this is my normal key which I would use, and cat slash home ssh auth. Cool. So this is just one key, which is something I've passed. Okay. I have a different key generated on this particular server out here, and I'm trying to log in with that key, and it's not going to work. Okay. So let's go back to the slides. Okay, the demo time. Now, just for the sake of the demo gods not trying to play with me, because this has happened earlier, I will cp. Note I have put my key out, and I'm going to show exactly what I have done. I am able to log in. Just running a PWD, but yeah, basically I can log in. Additionally, I can log in as any user on the instance. So right now it's root. I can log in as EC2 user, and if you go ahead and create another user, I can effectively log in as that. Okay. Uh, all I need to know is your username. Now this is a post-root situation. That is, normally as an attacker, you have different stages of the attack. I would maybe first get access to your instance via some vulnerability, then you have persistence, and this is that kind of a technique. Now it goes to, okay, when you say persistence, vulnerability is where you have your default, go patch your vulnerability, all of that. The next part is, as an attacker, I want to stay on your instance. Now, if I put my SSH key into your authorized key file, the SOC guys, the defenders will immediately get to know this. This is a rule that is written in 99% of all the sims that are there. An agent will go, whatever it is. These things catch it very fast. So as an attacker, I want to evade that. Oh, I don't want them to know about that. So this is one of those techniques. Cool. Uh, okay, so let's go. So basically what I've done is in this particular file, I've already put my key out here. I've just put in two places. You can replace it with a variable and yeah, it will still remain. Okay. Now let's go into the control flow of this script. So the normal flow of without me putting my keys is basically it goes calls the IMDS API. That is 169.256.169.256. I might be getting the IP wrong, but it's a static IP for AWS. I think it's even there across GCP and Azure. Cool. There's a little bit of validation which happens out here. Is this the instance ID? Is it an EC2 instance? Is the username present? Then where I'm looking at is the active key function. Okay. So this is where it goes and curls the IMTS API, gets the key. That also effectively means AWS is giving keys out. And for those who are not at the security side, so this is something for you guys to know. And I can log in. And I can log in as almost any user. Okay, and then you have the little domain checks. Now, for again, domain checks is from the INDS API itself because it's HTTPS, and AWS has it in multiple regions, like your commercial, you have your government, China, the CIA has its own division, all of that. A bit of OCSPs and all. We check the keys, and then it fetches the. This is the part I am interested in. It fetches the active keys and stores it in a temporary file. And then it calls the EIC pass authorized key, which is again just does a validation, cryptographic validation. And that is where I am playing around with this particular script and just putting in the data. Data being my particular key. Now, in this whole situation, this is a very small talk. Okay, this is more just for demo and just understanding from a software side how this particular systems work. Did any of you guys notice an issue? Or I won't say an issue. Did you notice something else while I was going through the control flow? Anyone? There's another way besides for this file to put your scripts or put your SSH keys. That is in the pass authorized key file. Now, as I said, I basically was dealing with a situation where I was doing an offensive attack and I needed a quick solution. So I ripped up Claude, and then this idea just struck me, and then I asked Claude to figure this out. Now, at that point in time, please understand this was all happening in 15 minutes. I came up with this thought process. Oh wait, if this is the control flow, I'll just put it in the in when before and after it calls the APIs. So my current flow is out here. It goes through the authentication. When it goes and curls for the active keys, there's a if condition. There's a control logic out here. Basically checking whether my keys already exist, okay, which is there from coming from AWS or no. So the normal flow, it will just exit out if there's no key from AWS, basically to save on cost and all. Okay, it doesn't go and do any additional checks. So what I'm doing out here, when it returns a 200, that means it has a key. That effectively means my EC2 control, my EC2 connect is active, or as a user, it is active. So someone's trying to log in. So this also happens effectively every time you SSH into your instance. So every time you type SSH and whatever your username and IP is, it's still going and calling the IMDS APIs. So here, if there is nothing that the IMDS API is giving with respect to the key, it just goes and exit out. And then otherwise it goes and does some additional validation checks of the certificate and all of that. So my logic is I just put my key at the two places, whether it exits out, it shall echoes the key, or it continues the logic. And that is what I've done in my file out here right now. It has a malicious code. Yeah. So whatever I'm saying to exit, I'm telling it to go and put it if it exits out. And I've put it over here as well. Yes. So if it does not get a 200 error code, then it again gives my malicious key. As I said, you can just put this into a bash variable and it echoes it out again. But this was a quick dirty thing that I did. Now you can also effectively put the same malicious code in your pass authorized key files, which, okay, I do not know. Is this, I'll just increase the font and let's clear up the screen. Uh, So this effectively goes and does a check on the hash. It checks the keys. It checks whether it checks whether the certificate is valid and all of that. So I could also put it out here, but at that point in time, I just did a quick and dirty hack, what you would say. So cool. So that was the other place you could do it. Now, for those who use guard duty, as I said, is a mechanism for the cloud guys in order to figure out if something's going off. As an attacker, as even a defender, I play on both sides. So, as a defender, when something happens during an incident, my first response is always, okay, let me go and check what guard duty has, or let me go and check CloudTrail logs. Now, every time I use EC2 Connect, a log goes to CloudTrail. Okay, and that gets logged. Guard duty also logs it. Now, this particular thing, this particular attack vector is I'm on your file system itself. I am putting my keys on your file system. Every antivirus for that matter should catch it. Guard duty being AWS product, they have a malware scanning function. It should catch it. Reality is it does not. And that's why I also spoke to the AWS team and I told them, why don't you, when you do a malware scan via guard duty, I don't just check this particular file, just check the hash of the file. You don't need to see anything else. Someone's tampered with it, you get an alert raised to the user. So that's what ended up happening. And guard duty does not catch it. Yeah. Now let's go to the detection mechanisms. Now I'm not touching your SSH authorized key file. I am not touching CloudTrail because there's no API call which is going. I'm not making a EC2 connect and then which it would get logged. So it doesn't come off as so-called suspicious. In my SSH logs, there's no keys added to my authorized key files again. And anytime I'm logging in as an effective user. There's no user created as well. And guard duty also gives it as a clean scan. Now I do not know how much time the guard duty might last. I checked the guard duty malware scan, I think 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, so almost a month ago. It did not catch it. I do not know when AWS is going to release this feature wherein it goes and even checks this, but I know it's in the pipeline of them because I had to talk with the guard duty teams as well. The defensive measures. Your password change does not help because I'm not touching your passwords. Your key rotation of any user for that matter also does not help. Your IAM reset. Supposing I as an admin, cloud admin, okay, you restricting access to my EC2 Connect console still does not allow me because as long as you have SSH access open to the public, I'll still be able to access the data. I mean the server for that matter. And instance patching, nothing you do, or I'm purely talking from an attacking defense perspective, it does not help. You need to completely reinstall the entire OS. So I got a legal response from AWS, okay, saying all long stuff, whatever, effectively means it is customer responsibility. That's the current state, which it is to that matter. So AWS has basically said anything on your OS is your responsibility. I just questioned them. I'm like, this is your script. You have put it. They certainly said, yes, we know, but this is customer responsibility. And in the security world, this is called living off the land. Basically, you use the tools which the defenders or even the developers use against them. So over here, as soon as the first thing normally an attacker tries to do is especially someone who's new to the industry, they'll try and put some tools, they'll put their own malicious code onto the server. But the good ones or the even decently good ones, they'll try to use what the developers already have on their platform, either as forgotten features or they use the normal network admin tools in order to establish connections back. And that is basically all living off the land. So this is in the normal world, but in this case, I don't know, it's living off the cloud. So now what can you do this is what you can take back to your company. So in the SOC world or in the defense world, you have something called file integrity monitoring. Now I have documented this particular uh, I've documented it. I've given the code for even verifying it on all your EC2 instances right now. Assuming it is a Amazon instance, so you can go run this code. It just checks the hash, that's all, and checks whether you have a SSH RSS, it just grabs for SSH RSA in your files. But you can also, again, manually checking is better. This is a quick and dirty way you can go take back today and check your EC2 instances. But please note, this is only for Amazon instances, Amazon Linux. You'll have to manually verify the Linux ones, the Ubuntu ones, Red Hat ones. Red Hat uses a it's a binary, it's in Go, but you can just check the hash. They have it on their GitHub. Amazon has the code on their GitHub, so you can maybe just download the code, compile it, and then just verify it. I think the binaries also are there. You can validate with that as well. Next, continuing. You have your regular file hashes. Now, just because you've done it once, not necessary it will always remain. So just regularly check your hash, verify it. Okay. Then host-based intrusion detection. Monitor your SSH authorized your sources where it's coming from, because again, wherever I log in from, my IP would come in. So depending on what is the behavior and how your users log in, sometimes they log in via Bastion host. Suddenly, Bastion host is just another EC2 instance, another VM, which you normally jump from. So if normal users log in via the Bastion host and they're coming into this said EC2 or any EC2, this is like a behavioral problem. So then you understand it from that. And the next thing is you update your defenses. You tell them that this is how it works out. This is how it works. Check it out. Check out the current instances that are already there. And that's it. It was a very quick talk, but this is something that happened. Alpesh, Harish, I've also
Interesting.
the news.
Sorry, you're saying something?
Yeah, I was saying in the QR code I've put the link to the newsletter as well out here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is SOC?
So it's the defensive side.
So I had one question by then, unless you want to add something onto what Alpesh said.
No, no, all good.
So what was that brain, the script that is the brain, right? The curl script. What is that doing exactly?
Just let me get the. Oh, this one, the main call script, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the curl, yeah,
Uh,
the brain, right? What you mentioned.
yeah, this is basically just checking your. You can see my screen now. Yes,
Yeah,
you can see the control flow.
yeah.
So this is a normal control flow out here. I just
Okay.
made a small documentation on it.
At a
So
high level, what is it doing? The
it
script.
just goes verifies the certificates of the IMDS, so HTTPS. It validates
What's
whether the
MDS again?
IMDS. I forgot the full form. I
Not
forgot
the
the
full
full
form.
form.
Not the full form. What is it? What is it doing?
It's basically okay. So think of it as an IP. It is literally an IP. It's a fixed static IP that helps you. Okay, just in VMware, and you use VMware.
Not VMware, but I have used KVM, QEMU stuff, if that
Okay,
helps.
okay. I'm not sure of KVM, but I know in VMware you have something called like a VMware tool, which basically allows you to deal with the VM by itself. Like you can drag and drop, you can copy paste. So think of IMDS as something like that. It's like a medium, or it's an IP. It's basically a web server, okay, which hosts different things. It'll give you information about your VP, about your EC2s.
Mhm.
It can also give you tokens, which is the main reason
Okay.
why it also exists. And these tokens allow your EC2 instance to perform activities on AWS itself. Okay.
Okay.
So
Got
it's
it. So
basically
Instance
keys.
Connect is using using IMDBS or whatever that thing is to get a
Yes.
token so that you can directly access it without having a
Yes.
key set up.
Yes. It's basically giving the keys. It's giving the SSH keys directly.
So the IMDBS thing is the one who's giving the keys,
Yes.
who's putting the keys
Through
in the
EC2.
authorized keys file.
It's not putting the authorized key file. It's putting
The
in a
brain
temporary.
script is doing that.
Kind of, yes. So it
Okay.
makes it makes where is my flow? It makes like in the temp file, it just creates a temporary
Mhm.
directory, and then it tells the SSH binary to go and use this to allow this particular public key. And the
Mhm.
public key is that of the EC2 Connect web server. So your
Mhm.
backend of how I was using, say, this particular, yeah. So here this is a web console, right? So the backend of
Yep.
this, there's a private key involved.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as I press connect, it is
Mhm.
using that private key in order to SSH into my EC2. In fact,
Mhm.
just now this is a little bit on the security front. Okay, just for this demo, I had allowed complete access, but this particular rule out here allows wherein I can allow only the EC2 console access here. So if I do not want anyone from the internet to SSH in, okay, like just let's remove this key. This is my bastion host, and I want to
Mhm.
only SSH in, so-called SSH in via this feature, the EC2
Mhm.
Connect feature. Put a EC, I can just put a firewall rule out here, which EC2 connect. This is IPv4. Yes, IPv4. And now I know the connection is still established because it's a stateful one. Okay. Now if I try, this will not work because I cannot establish a connection. But this is still using the traditional, yeah, SSH. This will work. Be able to SSH in. And again, simple. Your public private key infra out here.
Okay. So you're able to do this connection because that IMDBS
Firewall
thing was
rule.
providing you the keys, and the script that AWS has was adding those keys to a file which SSH is using to figure things out.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So you're the main idea of the EC2 curl script. I'm still not, I'm being very honest, I do not know why AWS has implemented some of these things in this way. So then I'm
Mhm.
figuring this out. The way I would
Fair
normally
enough.
do it
That's
is
fine.
maybe have it all in one script in the verification script itself. So maybe for caching reasons or optimization reasons, maybe. But yeah, you had asked where it stores the key. It makes it like a temporary directory and stores it out
Mhm.
there. And then it basically tells the EC2 pass authorized key file, which is out here.
Mhm.
Uh, okay, I lost my access to my instance.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just
You can
allow.
do it from the console, right?
Yeah, being very honest, I don't like the console. It's very irritating and hard.
Fair enough.
But the reason why actually people use the console everywhere. Okay, let's just. The reason why people do use the console, and there's a valid reason also,
Mhm.
is for admin. So right now, if I don't want my users to keep, like, say I have a company of say 100 users, okay, and let's say all of them using AWS and EC2s and all of them, okay, me managing the keys on every EC2 instance is hard. So
Mhm.
AWS basically gave us this feature. Okay, you do not need to manage the keys. We'll allow you to manage the keys with our feature out here. Okay. And that's what basically happened. So right now, if I want to control my users' keys without them having their SSH key in every folder, in every user, and creating a user on every server, this is a very quick and fast and manageable way for me to do it as an admin. I just control your AWS access, and AWS has a pretty good fine-grained access control mechanism, which is there out here. So that was a thought process and the business reason behind which why they did what they did.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And and then exactly where in that flow diagram did you start backdooring it?
Okay, so I did it in two different places. Specifically, where it fetches the keys from the IMTS API. So then there's
Okay.
an if-else condition out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if it does not receive any key, then it just exit out. So I tell it
Okay.
to exit out, but I echo the backdoor key into it, and then it goes into the pass script function. Oh no, actually it just echoes out and it goes into SSH. Whereas if there's an IMTS key from
Mm-hmm.
AWS, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically if I am trying to log in via the web console, it will also
Mm-hmm.
pass my key along with
It'll also pass on what, sorry?
my malicious key.
Okay.
So I can log in into the server and still have you also log in as a normal user or any user for that matter.
Right. So to inject that malicious key, you need access to this instance beforehand. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
prerequisite, as you mentioned.
This was a prerequisite. So again, this is a post-root situation, or in the
Mm.
attacker different world, you call it a post-root is post getting admin level access. My next problem is as an attacker, it is I want to stay in your system as long as possible.
Mm.
Now, the more time I stay in your system, there's a chance that you might detect me as a defender, as an admin. Like you might just be simply going to go and add your normal key, and in that you'll notice shit, there's a key that it's not supposed to be here. Who is this? So I want to stay in your system for as long as possible without you knowing. And this is one
Mm.
of those kind of situations.
Okay. And pardon me for asking this again, but how is it not detecting that you, because you're adding a malicious key, right, in the
Yeah.
backdoor?
So
So then how
that's
are they
where
not
we
detecting that?
that's where we go to the soft playbooks. So a lot of people on the defense side have playbooks. So and this also goes into how companies operate. They need a step-by-step instruction of how what to do in such a situation, right?
Hmm.
So this does not fall in the traditional playbook. What
Okay.
in terms of what do I do? So normally SOC will they'll go and check the authorized key file. Is anything suppose not supposed to be there? They'll go and see the active sessions, all of that. But here I am logging as one of your own users.
Mm.
I can log in as any user. My only prerequisite is I need to know your username.
Mm.
That's it. So it does not fall into that category. As a matter of fact, AWS also did not have it in their guard duty scanning mechanisms. So that is going to, I think, take 3 to 6 months maybe.
Interesting. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Now I think I got a better understanding of that. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Others, if you all have questions, like please go for it.
Yeah, but so fire integrity monitoring this equally holds if because this is assuming root access. At that point, you can just modify almost any. You can modify SSD
True,
itself.
true, true. But SSD, if you modify it, it will get caught in as part of the alerts. You modify any of the binaries,
Which alert?
especially SSD. So you will have a Wazoo agent on your system, or you'll have a Trend Micro, you'll have any of these EDRs, XDRs systems. You go modify any binary, immediately an alert comes to the SOC teams.
Mm,
There are cases where
assuming,
you can bypass that. I'm not denying that. And there
because
are all if-else cases. These are all if-else cases, huh?
again, see, as once you have root, you are in. You can replace whatever system
Of
you are
course,
running.
of
So
course.
I I would argue that is not really. Um, this is certainly easier. I'll grant you that, but otherwise, once a machine has been infected or someone gains root access, at that point, um, you can essentially, again, like I said, you can essentially whatever is running, agent is running, unless you have some external agent monitoring things. even that will ultimately have to, unless you have an alternative access mechanism that bypasses the OS, like disk level access or something, you cannot
Hmm. Hmm.
be sure of what is happening on the system.
True, true. So this is just one of those techniques. So an attacker will you leverage multiple of these. I mean, you're right in what you're saying. You once you're root, you effectively have a lot of different ways to do a lot of different things. This is just one of them, and since it does not fall into the traditional playbook of SOC, that's where yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Jaden
but
out.
no, but Karthik, the point is that he wants to go unnoticed, right, as root. Like even though you have root access, it's not been detected yet, right? And he wants to keep that access in, right? That's the point he's trying to make, right? Through his
But
backdoor.
I'm saying that this is, see, once, sorry, Jen, 1 second. If you have root access, okay, then this is on the list of things that you want to try now. This is not, this is the only way to do this. This is one way to do it, agreed, and it is easier than other ways, agreed. But once you have root access on any machine, it is almost trivial to replace whatever is at this point. I can replace it with my own version of SSHD now. I can say
Yeah.
ki I'm replacing the SSHD binary. I am
But you can't do that. He just said that, right? If you do that, it'll automatically be detected, right?
harsh
Sorry,
automatically.
Jaden just press button at this point. Sorry, Jaden.
Yeah, so I guess the point is it is unconventional, and because it is unconventional, like it sneaks past anything which is there, like which is established what usually people do.
There are two things, right? It is highly unconventional, yes. It is not something people would look for, again, agreed. But as for the impact now, I would normally, matlab, it's not something I prefer, but I would side with AWS here, because it is not something that effective changes anything. If you know that you have been, someone has had root access, you get rid of the machine. There is nothing else to do. If you are not sure if someone has root access, then this will anyway show up in the SSH logs.
Uh, Not exactly. So
Not
I'm
exactly,
logging
matlab, if you
logging as your user. I can
uh,
log in as any authorized user.
sorry, come again.
I can log in as any authorized user. Or any user, if you have a user on the machine, I
Yes,
can log in as you.
correct, but that will again show up in the authorized logs. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
in the logs.
So
Basically, you try to log in at whenever I try to log in. I'm impersonating you effectively.
correct, but that your IP will be different, na?
Again, yes. I do not know how. Again, it all depends on how people log into your SSH, into your VM. They log in from their normal IPs, yes. They'll go via Bastion, yes. It all depends on how the setup is.
Yes. So
In
fair.
what cases would it differ and would it not differ? The IP?
It's basically it's more of organizations how they work. So a lot of organizations have something like a Bastion host, it's just a VM. You log in via the VM and then you log into everyone else. So your
Oh, so
IP
it's like
is for
a pass-through kind
yes.
of a thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
I did mention that. Actually, that's one of the ways to even detect it. What Karthik, what you're saying is valid. That's one of the ways you can detect it is if I can log in as you, but if I'm not logging with the so-called normal IP or if I log in with my real IP, okay, and I'm somewhere in, somewhere else, not in India, and that is one potential way to detect it, which is valid.
Hmm.
I
Uh,
did mention this idea.
yes. And Harsh, so my point being that um, if once you have root access on any machine, then you can, as the attacker, can do whatever they want now. So if they want to, suppose, set up a, suppose you have some system running that is monitoring the binaries, you are root, you can shut down that system, change whatever you want, spin it back up. So this is not, matlab, it is interesting, definitely, but I would not say that this is very critical,
It's
unless
not.
uh, unless if you can maybe get some uh, talk to a few people and get some scans and see if there is actually someone affected by this.
What you're asking is to see if it's affected in someone in the wild, right?
Uh-huh.
Huh, I have not seen that yet. And as I said, I had a situation where I had to do this, so I did it. But I know AWS Guard Duty and all are not picking it up, but I know it will, I mean, it's there in their pipelines to catch this particular system or this particular technique very specifically.
Because at the same time, it is not. I if you I was actually looking for these files on Ubuntu. Ubuntu doesn't seem to have this.
Ubuntu has it, but it's a different file name and all, but it has a very similar concept.
It does not have the authorized command set.
It it has a similar version.
No, it does
I,
not
as
in
I'll have to
SSHD
check that.
now.
I'll have to check that.
I have it open right now. I'm looking at it
Okay, so I have not checked Ubuntu yet deeply. I'll have to check it. But
because
AWS is still
Uh,
away.
SSHD config now.
Yeah, can you show it?
One second.
Because even I'll get a look. So when I was
Yeah,
talking to the AWS teams, they did say that this would be valid for even all the other OSs itself, as long as you
okay.
can use the EC2 Connect.
Before Karthik goes there, just keeping in mind we're recording this. So before that, we can take that offline, but not offline, but like off the once
Oh no,
recording.
no, cut off the last.
Yeah, no, but the point is, does anyone have any questions for Nathaniel?
so you found this in AWS. Are any other cloud providers like affected by this sort of thing?
I need to look into GCP. So someone's again, don't take my word. You guys can also try and look into this. Someone did tell me GCP has this function. Azure does not seem to have it, and yeah, and you can try and look. You guys can try and look into this. Any cloud provider that is giving you the ability to use your web console to SSH into a server might have a similar function or a variation of it. Hmm?
Mridun, sorry, I just cut off. Pretty sure. Mridun also has a question. He's put it in the chat.
I think we can turn off the recording first.
No, I think let's answer Mridun's question and then we can turn off the recording because I think that's relevant.
Okay, 1 second. I suppose.
Yeah, take your time.
So you're asking whether AWS should fix it or no effectively, right? Since it's guessing it's customer responsibility. AWS did say they're going to not fix it. They're going to put a check in the guard duty scans. So guard duty has something called a malware scan. So this is one thing that is going to check for this particular issue.
Interesting. Okay.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. Really appreciate you taking the time out and educating us about this. Thank you so much. And yeah, see you all for the next talk.
Anytime. Thanks. Thanks for
Alpesh.
having me.
Yep.
I'll recording is up there.